Hi, I'm Leonie. I'm 53 and I have been getting Botox and fillers for a number of years now, and in this video I'm going to share my experiences with you and talk all about the pros, the cons and what to expect. So if you'd like to find out more about Botox and fillers, then just keep watching. So I recently put up a post on my Instagram talking about the fact that I'd had Botox, and it's not something I've ever been ashamed to admit or anything I've intentionally tried to hide, but I was completely blown away when I got so many messages and so many DMs from my Instagram community asking all sorts of questions about Botox. I kind of thought that most things had been discussed and most of us kind of knew the ins and outs of Botox, but it seems like I was wrong. So in today's video, I thought that I would go through and answer the questions that you guys left me on my community tab and just talk through my experiences to hopefully demystify what it's like getting Botox and fillers. Now please understand, I'm not saying that this is for everyone. I know that this is a contentious issue and Botox is not going to be for everyone. It does work for me. It's a procedure that I really like and it's something that I'll continue to get for as long as I possibly can. But I think let's get started and I'll jump into some of your questions first. Okay, so the first question says, "Hi Leonie, I'd like to know how old you were when you started having Botox and fillers. I'm 46 and haven't had anything done yet, but I feel my face is slowly starting to sag even though I splurge on the best face creams." You look amazing as always, thank you. Okay, how old was I when I first started getting fillers and Botox? I think I was gifted my first session of Botox when I was editing a magazine here in New Zealand, and I would have been about 45, I think. So yeah, I'm 53 now, so that's kind of 9 years ago, 8-9 years ago. And at first I just tried it to, no, it wasn't my crow's feet actually. I had it here, just in my forehead, which is often also known as the 11s. Not everyone gets this, but for me, when I frown, I do get two really prominent lines here. And it was kind of making me look like I was a bit sort of grumpy all the time. And often my boys would say to me, "Mum, why are you grumpy? Why are you unhappy?" But in fact, I was just sort of concentrating, and the act of concentrating was creating a sort of a nasty frown on my face. So I tried it about, as I said, 45, 46, and it just completely knocked out that frown, and I absolutely loved it. I think the next time I tried it after that, I did leave it probably 6 months or so. The next time I was also gifted some Botox, and I also tried it just around my smile lines here, my crow's feet, whatever you call them, and I didn't like it as much then, to be perfectly honest, because I felt like perhaps there was a little bit too much put in here and it affected the way I smiled. So it was almost like I would smile with my eyes, but my smile sort of stopped here. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's super important to find a really good injector and someone that you can trust and someone that you can have a really good conversation with in terms of what you do want to get out of it. So, I mean, another person's idea of what your face should look like and what you want it to look like and can be polar opposites. So I think that communication with your injector and someone who is really good makes a huge difference. Next question here. "Hi Leonie, I'd like to know if you've had your eyebrows tattooed. If so, does that hurt? I'm thinking about it. Is Botox expensive? Your face is lovely, Maureen." So yes, I have had my eyebrows tattooed or microbladed. They're actually due to be done again. I get them done every year. I find it just a game changer in terms of not having to fill in your brows. I've always had dark, thick brows, but the shape wasn't great. So getting them microbladed just meant that they always pretty much looked the same. So yep, I get that done and totally recommend it. Botox can be expensive, and it depends on how much you use. I'm pretty sure this is standard across the world when it comes to Botox. You pay per unit of Botox, so the more units you need, the more it's going to cost you. And so for me, as I've got older, I tend to require or like to have more units because I get more areas in my face done, so therefore it costs more. But for me, just to sort of get my frown done and a little bit here, a little softening around my crow's feet, I'm looking at it about $400. So it's about sort of $200 an area, but again, it really does differ for everyone. So that's just approximately what it costs me. Okay, the next question here. At what point, like when you see how many wrinkles, shall one start the process? Did you do your lips at all? I want to know everything. Okay, I think the point at which you start the process is just completely individual, and I know for me, it's really just when I notice in the mirror that I want to make a bit of a difference and I can't live with the frown anymore. I try and go regularly for my Botox, but that doesn't always happen. So it does get to the point where I look at myself in the mirror and I'm not as happy as I know that I can be. So again, I think it's just really, really individual for everyone. As to when the right time to start is. So that's a bit of a tricky one to answer. In terms of my lips, yes, I have had my lips done in the past, and I do like it. I've got a little bit of one side of my top lip is slightly fuller than the other, but actually I've got fairly thin lips anyway. I haven't got any filler in them at the moment. It's not something that I get done regularly because when it comes to spending money on getting any procedures done, I would rather focus on Botox because me personally, I feel that that makes the biggest difference and makes me feel better about the way I look. And again, obviously, it's such a personal thing, and I can only share my own personal experiences as to what I get done and how it makes me feel and how I prioritize things. Everyone will be different. Someone has said here, what is the cost, which I've just covered off. How often and what areas of the face can they do? Now, I'm not an expert in Botox, but I can share the areas that I have had done. So I get my frown lines done here. I also get some lines softened across my forehead, a little around my crow's feet here because I still like to see these smile lines because I personally feel like if you knock them all out, I think you can potentially start to look a little bit plastic, and it's just not a look that I like, but again, it's personal. And when you do have this area done, what does tend to happen, because you can't crinkle your face up as much here, the crinkling sort of comes in here. So I tend to get in here done as well. So just a few little spots around to just sort of soften things. And again, it's about that personal choice in terms of what you like, and it's a little bit of an experimentation as well. It's a little bit of a trial and error because one size won't fit all. So I think my best piece of advice would be to just start small and perhaps look at doing one area if you haven't had Botox before, and then take it from there. And if you feel like you can sort of improve on that, or you would like to try another area, try it. But yeah, my best piece of advice is to just start small and start with one area and see how you feel. And the other part to that question was how often, and I think this tends to differ for most people, but I think it's also fairly standard. I think the product only lasts in your face for about 3 to 4 months. What I have heard is if you get it done regularly, it seems to have a bit of a cumulative effect. So when you're relaxing the muscle, it tends to not be quite as strong as it doesn't sort of come back as quickly. So I think the key is getting it done every 3 to 4 months, depending on when it wears off for you. That's not something I've done. I've been slack. I've gone a year without getting it done. It depends on my finances and what I can afford. But I do see a difference if I'm getting Botox regularly and going every 3 to 4, well for me it's 4 monthly. Going every 4 months, it definitely seems to, I find that I have the best result, and I don't seem to be starting from scratch every single time. So I don't seem to be as frowny. Those lines don't seem to be as deep when I'm next due to get my Botox, if that makes sense. The next question here is, I'm very interested to hear about your experience, the pros and cons. Do you have any regrets? The pros are that it just makes me feel better about the way I look. And I do like having the lines softened as much as possible. The cons, I suppose, is the cost, because that's definitely up there for most of us. It is something that we need to kind of factor in. Where I go to get my Botox, they do have a payment plan, so that makes a huge difference. But yeah, I suppose the only downside is that there is that cost element, and I think once you start, in my mind, there's no going back. And certainly personally for me, I love the results so much that it's not something that I want to stop getting done. So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm trapped now, but in a good way. Okay, the next question here is, how are you addressing the neck area? So I haven't really done anything with my neck apart from some really good skincare regimes. So I think again it's all about looking after your skin, and I go and get regular facials. There's nothing nice and soft and fluffy about my facials at this point in my life. They're all pretty hard hitting procedures like microdermabrasion and peels, and anything that I can look at doing as an anti-aging kind of skincare routine. That's what I get done these days, and that is also affecting my neck area too. So I think it's just really important to do that. I do have regular derma pen treatments, and this is basically just, it's like fine needling all over your face. I've had that on my neck as well, because I do have pigmentation that comes up from time to time on my neck. The derma pen, the needling is one of my least favorite procedures, but equally I get the most incredible results from it. So it's definitely worth going through a little bit of discomfort for the great results that I see in my skin. And it's really useful for reducing pigmentation, and it also helps to instinctively create new collagen pathways in your skin. So it's basically like, what I've been told is the little micro needles create little sort of injuries in your skin, and your skin's response to this is creating a whole lot of collagen, which in turn does great things for your skin. So in terms of anti-aging, it's a great treatment to have. The downside is that it's not very pleasant at all, and there's about a day's downtime as well. So the next day you do look a bit sort of red, and you can still go out in public, but that's probably the downside. But again, I think for me, I need to consistently keep up with good skincare, visits to a really good beauty therapy clinic, and I'll leave in the description box below where I go and the reason I go there, so that you guys can get a better understanding of where I personally go. So if you're here in Auckland, I'll leave that in the description box for you below. But yes, I definitely have the derma pen treatment and really good skincare treatments, and I also make sure that I use a really good range of anti-aging skincare products as well. And I think for me, trying to really keep up with anti-aging and look as good as I can for as long as I can. I think it's a bit of a multifaceted approach, and it does really include, for me personally, it's Botox, a little bit of fillers, and great skincare and good skincare anti-aging treatments as well. And it's a combination of all of those things that I think personally work for me. And yes, I have had fillers in the past, and I do find that fillers combined with a little bit of Botox just makes a huge difference. I think one of the things that I've noticed as I've got older is I've lost some volume in my face, and so a small amount of filler here and there is a great way of just replacing some of this lost volume, and that in my mind is creating a more youthful appearance as well. I think the key is finding someone who is a really good injector. I go and see a nurse, so a trained nurse I think makes a huge difference, and also going to someone that you can trust. So a great way is through word of mouth and talking to friends and people that you know have had Botox and fillers and getting a recommendation. I think nothing beats a personal recommendation. I think the tricky thing here is that we often are reluctant to talk about what we've had done, or the fact that we want to get some Botox or have had it before. I think that's unfortunate, because I do think it really helps if you do get that personal recommendation. So I'll leave in the description box below where I go and who I see, in case you guys live in Auckland and you want to check them out as well. But I cannot recommend highly enough getting a personal recommendation and going somewhere really reputable and really good. Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, or if I didn't answer any of the questions that you have on this topic, please just leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer all of your questions. But once again, thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more, and I can't wait to catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
I won't make it easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't really break too easily, but I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. Oh.